Joining us now in our studio in Washington for some insight on clean energy and sustainable development is Jake Schmidt, the Director for International Programs at the Natural Resources Defense Council. He also works closely with China on climate issues. Jake, first of all, welcome to you.
Thanks for having me.
Trump has pretty much surrounded himself with people who have questioned or cast doubt on global warming and climate change. I just want to get first your reaction to that.
Yeah, we're expecting a massive onslaught on climate policies, not only because of what President Trump has said on the campaign trail, but also the folks that he's surrounded. The cabinet is filled with, I think, a large number of climate deniers. They've sort of walked it back a bit, but they're mostly climate deniers.
So are you worried, Jake?
We're very worried. We're preparing for a massive attack on bedrock environmental and climate policies from the Trump administration. Whether or not he can follow through on those, we'll have to see, but we're expecting that.
You know, China has taken such a significant lead when it comes to climate change, and the Paris Climate Accord, both Washington and Beijing were a driving force in pushing through the Paris Climate Pact. It seems the world needs a U.S.-China partnership to help stop global warming.
Oh, it really does. I think one of the biggest transformations that happened over the past couple of years was this coming together of the U.S. and China around climate change. In the U.S. for years, the major barrier to climate action had been this perception that the rest of the world wasn't going to act, and mostly around China. And I think the fact that President Obama was able to work with China and getting an agreement laid the foundation for getting the Paris Agreement, which had the rest of the world sort of signing on the bottom line to come up with commitments.
And Trump has also cast doubt on the Paris climate deal. Are you concerned, or is your organization concerned that, I mean, could something happen to that when so many countries are signatories to that agreement?
Yeah, we're definitely worried. I think one thing that's important for the Trump administration to realize quite quickly is that the world really does want this agreement. And given the other priorities that the Trump administration is saying that they want to achieve with the rest of the world, it would really sort of stick a finger in the eye of the rest of the world if they became, you know, the climate pariah. We would effectively become the only country in the world not moving forward on climate change, and that's a pretty rare place for the United States to be. So hopefully they'll see the light.
So what are your theories, if that's the right word, on any future agreements between China and the United States, given what we know about the incoming Trump administration?
Well, I wouldn't hold any high hopes for any kind of major breakthroughs between the U.S. and China. I think this is really a moment for China and the rest of the countries around the world to step up to the plate and carry the leadership mantle. We're expecting kind of a U.S. withdrawal from a leadership, which is, you know, obviously hugely unfortunate. But I think the signs that we're seeing are that countries are saying, irregardless of what the Trump administration is going to do, we're going to continue to move forward with our climate actions, our renewable deployments, because it's in our own interest for our citizens, and it's the right thing to do for the lasting generations.
Jake, during the Obama administration, we saw a shift towards clean energy at the expense of the coal industry. Will we see a shift back to coal under Trump?
I don't expect so. The forces in the market are clearly moving in the direction of clean energy. We have 2.5 million people in the U.S. that work in the clean energy sector between renewables and energy efficiency, and I think that trend's going to continue. And that's not just because of environmental policies, it's because the economics around wind and solar and energy efficiency just outcompetes coal and even natural gas in many places, and that's what you're seeing in even some of the most heavily reliant coal electric utilities. They're building wind and solar before they're building coal plants.
Jake Schmidt, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.